What Brad's in.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
In there. What about a guy like Ja Morant? You know, he remains just a huge name in the league. Another tough year in Memphis over there. How do you see that playing?
He's in a different boat. He's a guy that is damaged goods now. He's like he is. He is. He's Trey. I mean, listen, Trae Young had to go to the Wizards for nothing. They salary cap dumped him. He's going to have to sign a player extension or a player option this year because no one's ready to give him a long-term deal, certainly not for the money that he thinks he should command. And Ja Morant's the same thing. He has to completely reinvigorate his value. He has to completely reprove himself as anything close to a franchise player. So these kind of guys are the teams you start looking at are like the Sacramento Kings, where like you have to go and rehabilitate, and there's no contender that says, I'm going to bring in Ja Morant and give up real assets for him.
No way.
No, they're not. They would have to attack at this point. They tried at the trade deadline. They wanted to get off. Once they got off Jaren Jackson, they wanted to get off him. Those guys are so invaluable at the moment that you actually have to attach draft capital to them to entice a team to take them on. Nobody actually is going to give you the draft capital. That's the bottom line.
I disagree completely. I think Ja Morant is still, yes, it's been unfortunate. I also think Memphis just wasn't, it got to a point in Memphis where it just was not working anymore. And sometimes a player needs new life, a new atmosphere to get back to the player that we once knew and loved. And Ja Morant is immensely talented. And when he is healthy, he is a force with any team that he plays with. It's just all the other things sometimes, right? But I actually think a Ja Morant would fit nicely in like a Phoenix. And I'll tell you why. I think the Phoenix Suns are a team that has kind of struggled to get over the hump in the Western Conference. We saw them figure it out a little bit this regular season, and obviously the postseason didn't go the way they wanted to as well. But I think, you know, Devin Booker, you bring Ja Morant to that situation, a true point guard. Devin Booker gets to go back to play a position, his true position, which is a shooting guard. That allows you have a true point guard that they haven't had since the Chris Paul era to run the offense. Devin Booker does what he does well. Dylan Brooks, more than likely, there's rumors that he may be on the move, but if I'm Phoenix, I'm trying to retain him. They have enough of the additional pieces to make it interesting for the Memphis Grizzlies, who aren't going to be competitive in the in the Western Conference. Let's be very clear about that. They're in a complete rebuild, but that's okay because when you're trading with a team that's in a rebuild, sometimes they're not as picky, especially when they're trying to offload a player like Ja Morant, who's not part of their future plan. I don't think that Ja Morant is this like wasted cause. I don't think that he's damaged goods. I still think you put him in the right situation, let him do what he does well, and don't make him your number one option, which he wouldn't be in Phoenix, and you can get a different version of him. I just think it has to be a different fit than what he was responsible for in Memphis.
Yeah, Phoenix is a good example. You're not going to have to give up. My point is, he's not going to command a big package coming back to Memphis. So Phoenix will throw maybe Jalen Green, or you're not going to go out. That's not what Memphis wants, or they would have traded him at the trade deadline. He's not worth that anymore. Ja Morant is making $86 million over the next 2 years. He's not worth that right now. Nobody wants to pay him that. Memphis certainly doesn't want to pay him that. So for a team to take him on, they're going to have to be incentivized that they don't have to give up very much. And then Memphis is just going to have to say, beggars can't be choosers. We tried at the trade deadline to command a real package with real assets. Nobody wants. Same thing with Trae Young. Nobody's biting. So they have to go. But Phoenix is a good example of a team that, you know, you traded a Jalen Green back, and he goes, and if he does well there, he can rehabilitate. But in this day and age of the second apron, to be paying $86 million, you're seeing it with Joel Embiid. You're seeing it with Trae Young with a $49 million player option. These guys aren't worth that much money anymore, that are one-way players and that haven't proven to be winning players in recent years.
Yeah, 26 years old, so still
very
a lot
obviously,
of
to
basketball
Ashley's point, still extremely talented.
Yeah.
So a team can say, let's take an upside swing, and maybe he turns a corner again. But I don't think they're going to give up a ton to take the swing.
Yet you still call him damaged goods.
I do, yeah. Basketball, he is. If he wasn't, he would already be traded.
Okay.
If
well, you can tell me if I'm off base here, but I'm going to do a transition.
Warriors Nation News. Dub Nation, let me ask you a question that would make the whole Western Conference stop breathing for a second. What happens if the Warriors take a real swing at Ja Morant? Not a small move, not a role player patch. I'm talking about a full-on star gamble, the kind of move that makes every team in the West recalculate overnight. And before anybody goes wild, let's keep this honest from the jump. There is no confirmed deal sending Ja Morant to Golden State. This is not official, this is not done. But Reuters reported back in January that Memphis was entertaining offers for Morant before the trade deadline, and Morant himself later said he would live with it if the Grizzlies decided to move him. That's why this conversation has real juice. Golden State just finished 37-45, missed the playoffs after the play-in loss to Phoenix, and then recommitted to Steve Kerr with a new deal, which tells you the Warriors are still trying to win with Steph Curry, not drift quietly into the background. Reuters reported Kerr was weighing his future after the season, and then reports followed that he would remain the Warriors' coach. This team knows the clock is ticking on the current era. Now imagine the basketball. Steph Curry still bends the floor like almost nobody in league history. Ja Morant brings the exact opposite pressure. Downhill speed, rim attacks, live dribble creation, collapse the defense energy. That's what makes this so dangerous. You trap Steph, Ja is flying into space. You load up on Ja at the rim, Steph is relocating for open threes. And if Draymond Green is still in the middle of it all, suddenly Golden State becomes unpredictable in a totally different way. You're not just dealing with motion and jump shooting anymore. You're dealing with violence at the rim, pace, creation, and panic. That changes the emotional temperature of every playoff series. And let's talk about the West, because that's where this gets serious. Oklahoma City brings depth and pressure. Denver still has Jokic. Minnesota brings size and defense. Dallas always has elite shot creation. So what do the Warriors need if they want to matter again? They need another player who can force defenses to crack. Ja Morant, when healthy and locked in, is still one of the few guards in the sport who can do that by himself. Reuters noted he averaged 19.0 points and 7.6 assists this season while dealing with injuries and constant noise around his future. That is a down year by his standards, and it still looks like real production. Now here comes the risk, because you cannot talk about Ja without talking about risk. There have been injuries, there have been suspensions in previous years, there has been instability. That is why this would not be a safe move, it would be a bet, a real bet. But Dub Nation, be honest, safe moves are not getting the Warriors back to the top of the West. Safe moves do not maximize Steph's final elite years. Safe moves do not make rival fan bases nervous. Ja Morant does. Even now, even after all the noise, he still does. So here is my final take, loud and clear, favorable to the Warriors. If Golden State ever got a real chance to bring in Ja Morant at a price that reflects the risk, they should seriously think about it, because the upside is massive, the fit with Steph is explosive, and in the West, a healthy, focused Ja in a Warriors jersey would instantly make Golden State one of the most dangerous swing teams in the conference. Dub Nation, tell me right now, if the Warriors had a real shot at trading for Ja Morant, would you go all in on that gamble, or is the risk too high? Drop your opinion in the comments, hit like, and subscribe to Warriors Nation News.